This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the New Media Production Studio. The lead stories are tech workers are being detained as they try to escape Russia. Google Play pay crackdown. Elon Musk does a 9.2% stake in Twitter. And Hertz is buying about 165,000 electric cars. I want to welcome you to episode 1596 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, April 4th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to all the new listeners of the show. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content on the website. You can subscribe or follow to the show there. And of course, the most important thing is go ahead and get connected with our newsletter. Newsletter contains everything that I'm going to talk about tonight. And you can just sign up and be fully connected. I think that's the best way to do it is get the show notes delivered directly to your inbox immediately following the show when you're signed up for the newsletter. Of course, my phone starts ringing as soon as I start doing the show. It's sitting over here buzzing. I have no idea who it is, but airplane mode works fantastic in shutting that down. But you can join our chat room at geeknews.chat or our Discord server. That link is available in the show notes. You can contact me via email. That's the best way to stay in touch, geeknews@gmail.com. So if you have comments for the show, I'm on Twitter at Geek News. And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook. All the partner shows are linked to geeknewscentral.com. That includes the New Media Show, the Gadget Professor, the GNC Week in Review with Scott and Kirk. Definitely check those shows out at geeknewscentral.com. And, of course, this show is sponsored by the longest-running continuous sponsor for podcasts. That's our good friends at GoDaddy. You, too, can save money by using one of my GoDaddy promo codes when you go to checkout and buy a GoDaddy product or service, whether it's 30% off a new product purchase, whether it be a $4.99.com, whether it be a $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year, again with a free domain. Free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal, business, or business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. All those codes, again, are available at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Go over there and save money. We want you to do that as soon as possible so that you can support the show, allow us to keep the lights on, allow us to do what we do here, pay the bloggers. Paid the blogging bill today and from last month, and it is significant every month. So we want you to continue to support the sponsor so we can keep the machine rolling, keep the rent paid, keep the insurance paid, electric, gas, everything goes on here. So we definitely appreciate it when you do support the sponsor. Again, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. So what's happening? Well, worked and nearly completed my taxes. The PayPal accounting is the biggest pain in the beep. I mean, it's a pain to deal with the PayPal accounting stuff. That's the hardest. Everything else is easy. So I'm just about done. So it won't be, I have a little time left for my accountant. So I try to get it to her tomorrow. But I had forgotten what was happening this coming weekend. Things have been so crazy. We're celebrating my mom's 80th birthday on Saturday. And my daughter and my granddaughter and her husband and my grandkids from Florida are coming to town on Thursday. So no show Thursday night. I'm going to spend time with the grandkids, time with my daughter. So no show on Thursday. So we'll be back a week from today with the next show. So this morning I woke up with my phone ringing. It was Shoko calling from Hawaii, and my son wrecked his car. So, he hit a parked vehicle late at night. Said he swerved for a cat. You don't swerve for cats, especially when the alternative is hitting a vehicle. So, not good. In the meantime, been kind of helping dealing with that today with the insurance company and so forth. The older vehicle, so we didn't have a collision on it, so that one's gone, and we'll have to see what we can do to get him another car. But yeah, it's one of those nights. But he's okay. A little sore, got cracked. Probably, well, he said his ribs were sore. And when you're 19 years old and your ribs are sore, that could probably mean, if I was 50 and ribs are sore, that means they're broke. But we're going to see how he does here over the next 24 to 48 hours. And but overall, walked away from it. He took an airbag to the face. And not surprisingly, both airbags blew. And he had a seatbelt on. So, he went for a ride for sure. So, anyway, that's what's going on here, and what's going on in Hawaii. So, hope everyone's doing well. And the way the price of cars right now are, oh man, this one's gonna leave a mark. It's gonna leave a mark on a checkbook for sure to get a replacement vehicle. That is for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and start right into the stack here. There's a huge article over on Yahoo talking about tech workers describing detentions and interrogations as they flee Russia. And this is a couple of month story. It's been building. And just like anyone now that is IT, programmer, whatever it may be, is having a very hard time getting out. And if they mention what their job or occupation is at border guards, they're detained, they're brought in, they're asked questions on the conflict, they are asked what their skills are. And obviously, probably right now, the advantage is to not say you're an IT. But I don't know how much of that can be hid. Because Russia is keeping a record of everyone that is leaving, their thoughts on the war, and so forth. And a user designer from Moscow who wishes to remain anonymous recounted a couple of days into the war his computer became a useless piece of plastic. The software stopped working. His company could no longer receive payments from foreign colleagues or pay its employees in Europe after Russia was disconnected from SWIFT. He said the last straw was when we tried to transfer the salary to our employee in Ukraine. The designer said at that moment he was at home in Mariupol. The city was already on bombardment and a curfew had been imposed. The last message we received from him was, "I have no money left. I'm looking out the window and see mobile crematoriums approaching my house." After that, we heard nothing more from him. According to some reports, 70,000 IT specialists have fled Russia in February, and they predict Russia may lose a further 100 specialists in March and April, and who are currently trying to get out. So we'll see what happens here. People are actually having to take charter flights out of the country because they can't take commercial flights. So people are compensating computers, phones, any type of hard drives. It just goes on and on and on. And but anyway, does not pay right now to be an IT guy or gal in Russia of any sort. But Putin announced that taxes for programmers and IT guys that remain in Russia will be 0%. So those that stay, I guess they've had an influx of people taking online courses. I'm not surprised. Google Play crackdown makes Amazon, Barnes & Noble's pull digital purchases. Digital goods vendors would rather have no purchases than Google Play purchases because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay to play on Google Play, is where they have to give up 25-30% of their profits. They don't want to do it. So Google's deadline of March 31st has come and passed, and then people are releasing software without the ability to use Google Play. Pay And it doesn't look to be quite pretty at all. Now, Spotify managed to strike a deal with Google, allows it to run its own billing system. Google said this deal is a start of a pilot program called User Choice Billing that will allow a small number of participating developers to offer additional billing option next to Google Play's billing system. Google first demands developers implement Google Play billing first, and that's something Amazon and Barnes & Noble seem unwilling to do. Barnes & Noble told The Verge it was not given the option of participating in alternate billing program, and the company determined it was unable to integrate with Google billing or did not want to pay. So, they've cracked the whip, and they want their 30%, just like Apple does. So there we go. Hey, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you may be watching, make sure you check in and say hello. Say hello in the chat. We want to hear from you for sure. Twitter shares closed up 27% after Elon Musk took a 9.2% stake in the social media company Twitter. He owns 73,486,938 shares, making him the largest shareholder of Twitter to date. This comes less than 2 weeks after Elon criticized the company, polling people on Twitter about whether Twitter adheres to free speech principles. So this is an interesting stake that he's made here. And there was a little bit of side conversation in the Slack channel that we have for Geek News Central. We were talking about whether Elon Musk was a mad genius, time traveler. You have to say this guy's interesting. And he puts his money where his mouth is. And is he going to win all battles? No. But I think that it's an interesting move by him. He's got 80 million followers on Twitter. So, but he's got billions in equity, so he can really do what he wants to do here. He could probably buy Twitter outright. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, 2.89 billion is the based on the closing price this past Friday. So we'll see if he's invited to the board, if he's given a seat at the table to make comments and provide feedback. Time will tell. Hey, James. Hey, Andrew. James is in Australia. James, I hope you're recovering from the Rona. I hope you're doing okay. Andrew, welcome as well from the UK, up late over there. Thank you so much. But next up, Hertz says it will purchase 65,000 electric vehicles from Polestar. The deal follows a similar announcement to buy 100,000 Tesla vehicles. So the question really is, when I rent a car, I don't want to have to worry about finding a place to plug it in. I want to drive it. If I need gas, I want to put gas in it. I don't have to worry about having an app for that to find charging stations. You're busy. You're busy when you're renting a vehicle. So I guess if you're just renting for a day or two, it makes sense maybe to rent a electric vehicle. Not that I'm against them, but just seems like it's funny for Hertz. Hertz has about 500,000 vehicles in its global fleet, and that number varies. It went down during Rona and is moving back up. And so we'll see. The rental car company escaped bankruptcy last year after a pandemic and an unsustainable amount of debt nearly devastated its business. The company, which is more than 100 years old, was just eventually refinanced to the tune of $5.9 billion by investors led by Knighthead Capital Management. So they were bailed out by an investment firm. So we'll see. But, the Polestar vehicles are $155,000. So how much is it going to cost to rent a Polestar vehicle? The news that Hertz would order 100,000 Teslas helped send the company's stock price soaring, ultimately reaching a valuation over $1 trillion. So will that help Polestar? Time will tell. I think it's a big gamble. I don't want an electric vehicle when I'm renting a car. I want to be able to get around and have as many options as possible in getting, so long as I can put fuel in it, I'm good. I'll drive a hybrid when I'm renting a vehicle, no problem, but got to have gas. So what say you? Would you rent if you're going to be on a week or 2 week rental? Because that's usually what I rent vehicles for, is an extended number of days, not just 1 or 2 days and limited miles. So we'll see. Roku announced a multi-year extension with Amazon for Prime Video and Imdb TV. So while Roku's had some rifts with Google, Amazon decided to play nice. As of today, the two companies reached this deal. The terms of the agreement are not being divulged, but Roku had a boost in share price from by $6.39 up to $132.11. That's one stock. I'm going to be kind of honest with you. It was on an IPO, obviously. I should have bought their stock back when they went IPO. Having some of the very, very early apps on Roku, although we don't anymore, it was obvious where things are going. But, I've got Rokus now I don't use because my smart TVs do everything that, I do. It's a Roku-enabled TCL in front of me here. So I guess I am, in a sense, using Roku in TVs instead of having the little itty-bitty boxes. All right, moving on here. If you're a MailChimp user, which I am, I have several accounts with MailChimp. I actually pay them a significant amount of money every month. MailChimp says an internal tool was used to breach hundreds of accounts. And it looks like whoever was hacking this did a social engineering attack. And they accessed about 300 MailChimp accounts and successfully exported audience data from 102 of those. MailChimp declined to say exactly what the data was accessed. Of course, it's email addresses. The hackers targeted customers in the cryptocurrency and finance sectors. In addition to viewing accounts exporting data, they gained access to API keys for an undisclosed number of customers as well. And of course, the API keys allows like a company like mine to initiate a emails going into the company and campaigns being sent. But apparently, MailChimp received some reports of the hackers using information they obtained from user accounts to send phishing campaigns to their contacts. I wonder if one of those companies was doing phishing campaigns as a podcast company. I'm just being naughty here. Sorry. But anyway, they've figured out what happened, and hopefully they're informing the companies that were hacked. According to the Jerusalem Post, jpost.com, Space Needle-sized asteroid heading for Earth in a close flyby with a length estimated between 77 and 170 meters. 2017 WN13 would be at a minimum longer than 6 T-Rexes or 13 Asian elephants in length, and it's going to fly by, I think it's already went by us. So somehow it was published yesterday, so we picked it up. So yeah, we had one that flew in between us and the moon. So whizzing right along at 19.5 kilometers per second. And they say it's an Apollo-class asteroid, meaning its orbits around the sun will cross Earth. However, it's not likely to strike the planet. So going to be a ways out. Next up, Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey says he is partially to blame for centralizing the internet. Well, yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Amazon, they've all pretty much centralized the internet, except for those of us that have our own .coms. He says the days of Usenet, IRC, the web, even email with PGP were amazing. Centralizing discovery and identity into corporations really damage the internet, Dorsey tweeted Sunday, referencing online communications and chat systems. He says, I realize I'm partially to blame and regret it. Well, he made lots of money. He must not regret it that much. And of course, Dorsey stepped down as Twitter CEO last year. He has supported open and decentralized social media standards before. Meanwhile, Elon bought 9.2% of the stock over at Twitter. And, it's going to remain centralized. That's what everyone's using. And, this Web 3 that everyone's promoting, good luck with that. Where's Web 3? It's a big joke. Web 3 is geeknewscentral.com, ladies and gentlemen. Paramount Plus releases a new trailer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, its Discovery spinoff. So a month before its premiere, May 5th, there's a new trailer. So set about 10 years before the original series. The series stars Anson Mount, Rebecca Rahman, Ethan Peck, reprising their respective roles as Christopher Pike, number 1, and Spock from the second season of Star Trek Discovery. So it's going to be a 10-episode series. So I'm sure many of you will be very, very happy to get back into a new Trek series. So, yes, they're all dressed up, looking nice and fancy, and quite modern control system in their fake spaceship studio. Google's April Pixel update includes wireless charging fixes for the Pixel 6 phones, including several security flaws. So if you got a Pixel 6, make sure you grab that update. And not surprising, EV auto sales were really on the rise in the first quarter of 2022. And this may portend the arrival of battery electric age sooner than expected, although I'm doubting it based on where I live. But the overall industry reported 15.3% decline in new vehicle sales to 2,516,000 units. Tesla and Polestar reported especially sharp rise in first quarter sales. So they were up. And so the reason gas is not selling, there are no gas vehicles. 2.4 million or something gas vehicles. There's just not enough. They're missing chips. If I drive north, go to Lansing, and I go by the GM factory, there's literally tens of thousands of cars parked. They can't ship them. They don't have chips. They're made and they're waiting for chips. And they're just acres and acres and acres of vehicles for as far as the eye can see. So there's vehicles being made, but they can't ship them because they don't have the ships. But EV company saw its U.S. sales rise 87% compared with the same quarter last year, 129,000 units of EVs versus a total of 2.5 million on regular, 2.4, 2.35 on gas-powered vehicles. So, you just can't get a vehicle. The new car dealers have used cars in the lots. Panasonic has a new strategy, pump $4.89 billion into software, EV batteries, and more. 1 year in, CEO Yuki Kazumi wants diversification and growth. So they're going to invest $4.89 billion in electric vehicle batteries, hydrogen energy, workplace digitization, and supply chain software in a strategy shift for the 104-year-old Japanese multinational. The money is slated for spending over 3 years from 2023 to 2025. Of the total amount, $3.2 billion will go to growth areas like supply chain software and automated batteries, among others, and $1.6 billion to technology pillars. So he wants to improve battery cell performance and safety while cutting cost. And that mass production of the 46 millimeter diameter EV batteries, otherwise known as the 4680s, would start fiscal year 24 as its Wakayama factory in Japan. So Tesla introduced the 4680 batteries, which are 5 times bigger than the Tesla used predecessors in 2020. So, and Panasonic has remained the car company's primary battery partner. So more information on that in the show notes. Lenovo plans to hire 12,000 R&D workers, hypes quick market returns. This is interesting. 12,000 workers in research and development. Chairman and CEO Yongying Yang laid out the company's vision for the years ahead as it starts a new financial year. The Chinese-American firm raised research and development spending to $1.336 billion to $1.45 billion in 2021, and its highest reported R&D expense was 2016 when it was $1.491 billion. So he says, my vision for Lenovo Innovation is to become one of the world's leading ICT companies, a pioneer and enabler in intelligence transformation, he said in a statement. What does that mean? Our investment plan was centered around the client edge cloud network intelligence architecture. Well, that's a mouthful. Say that 3 times really fast. With client edge cloud network intelligence, with a 3-track approach to focus on short, medium, and long-term payback. We asked Lenovo what this meant. And a spokesperson told us that client edge cloud network and intelligence are the 5 pillars of the firm's R&D focus, and that they're short, medium, okay, blah, 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 same thing. And the goals seem a little vague. So we'll see what Lenovo does. Everyone's trying to reinvent themselves. Did you buy crypto last year? Well, nearly half of crypto owners did their first purchase of digital assets in 2021. The survey of nearly 30,000 people across 20 countries, which was conducted between November 21 and February 22, showed 2020 was a blockbuster year for crypto. Brazil and Indonesia led the world in crypto adoption, with 41% of people surveyed in those countries reporting crypto ownership, compared to with 20% in the United States and 18% in the UK. People who do not currently own crypto and live in countries that have experienced security devaluation against U.S. dollar more than 5 times as likely to say they plan to purchase crypto as a hedge against inflation. The Indian rupee has declined 17.5% against the dollar in the last 5 years, while the Indonesian rupee had depreciated 50% against the dollar between 2011 and 2020. So 64% of folks in Indonesia and India have picked up digital currency. So it's an interesting move here. And by the way, just as a reminder, with new Podcast 2.0 apps, you can boost my podcast and send over Satoshis, which is a derivative of Bitcoin, as a way to support the show. In every show, we get a few of you that boost this show and send us some Satoshis. And I think we make $8 or $9 maybe a show on crypto contributions. I'm running my own crypto node, or anyway, I got them at Raspberry Pi, running some software. And so all my crypto's basically on my own little system here. So in my own wallet. Intel CEO made $178 million in the first 9 months. Wow. AMD CEO got a mere $2 million pay raise. Well, turns out the Intel CEO, most of his compensation is in stock, and it's got like all kinds of hurdles. But if he makes the hurdles on the valuation of the stock, he could cash in with $169.5 million in stock awards. He had a $1.1 million base salary and a $1.7 million bonus. He received $5.1 million non-equity incentive cash, $685,000 in increased pension value that carried over from his previous 30 years at Intel, and $401,000 in other forms of compensation, which included a retirement plan contributions, company-provided transportation, and residential security. So $178 million in total compensation. Now, by contrast, Intel's CEO to employee ratio was 695 to 1. That's pretty amazing. No, it was 1,711 to 1 for this new CEO. The old CEO was 695 to 1, with an average income of about $104,000 at Intel. The U.S. State Department has a new bureau, and it's making cybersecurity a part of foreign policy. The Bureau of Cyberspace and Digital Policy will focus on national security and other issues. Now, here's the thing about the U.S. government. They have a pay scale. The GS pay scale tops out 140, 150. The SEC pay scale is a bit higher, but still, how are they going to hire smart enough people that know about this to work for the government? Because they don't pay enough. Cybersecurity folks worth their salt make a lot of money. So I just don't know how, that's a problem with government and their pay caps for these highly specialized jobs. Programmers. The government cannot hire the programmers. And I'm sorry if you work for the government as a programmer, but very well, if you are a programmer and you are working on the GS scale, you could make a lot more money outside the U.S. government. A lot more. Why not? Well, there's several reasons for that. But we always had challenges when I was working my job, my prior military job. The programmers were never around long because they got a few months experience and then they moved because someone offered them more money. So you end up with oftentimes people that really were not cream of the crop. And don't take this the wrong way. That was just my experience. So I just don't know how they're going to find qualified people to be in the Bureau of Cyberspace and Digital Policy. Well, maybe it's just policymakers. Maybe it's just lawyers versus people who actually know cybersecurity. So have you thought about buying a desktop PC instead of a laptop? I replaced what was here in this studio with a Mac Mini. That's a desktop, and it's super powerful. I love it. I have a laptop I travel with, obviously, but that's the only time I use it or if I'm, doing remote work or something. But what's the benefits of a dedicated desktop? Well, number one, desktops can be cheaper. The Mac Mini starts at $700, which is cheaper than $300 cheaper than a MacBook Air, with almost exactly the same tech specs. Essentially, you're not paying for the display, trackpad, battery, and webcam, which means you can put that savings towards better desktop accessories. The math gets a little trickier on the Windows side, where pricing can be all over the place, but you can still find a pretty good desktop in the $500 range. And obviously, some computers are better for certain kinds of things. If you want to use Plex or channel DVR to record over-the-air TV or stream your personal media, you'll need a computer plugged in and running around the clock. So it's better to have a desktop, although desktops use more power. And if you want to do gaming, it's better to have a desktop because they're more expanding, run higher chipsets and so forth. But I don't know. They each have their purpose, and I have both. So you all know when I moved into the compound, the remote compound, my internet over there was sucking, and supposedly Starlink is coming to my area this month, and I'm watching my Starlink page every day to see if I get my invitation. I'm not holding my breath because it's still in a stack of people. But some guy was in the same situation as I was, and he was only one house away from being able to have internet service. And when he actually bought the house and put his order in, they said, yep, internet's available here. Turns out it wasn't. It was only available to the house next door, literally 100 feet from him. They wanted $19,000. $19,000 to run him a hookup. He's finally got it. It's only actually ended up costing about $7,500 because he did some of the work himself. But apparently ISPs are giving false availability information. So buyer beware. When you're getting ready to buy a home, you need to actually talk to someone that lived there before or on either side of you to make sure that you can get internet. If you're in a cul-de-sac or you're off a main road or something like that, you need to be very, very careful, because the ISPs often show areas have more connectivity than they actually have. And this has been playing out a lot of different places. I opted not to bring cable 1.25 miles, and it was actually cheaper than what these folks were going to pay. And I opted to wait for Starlink. It's not going to be as fast as wired internet, but it's going to be better than what I have now, by 10 times better than what I have now. But, and it took him months to get wired up. And this is ongoing thing about internet service providers and their coverage areas. You can't trust them hardly at all. So be very, very careful if you're ever moving. Ironically, a Vladimir Putin spokesperson says he uses a VPN in Russia, where the news and social media are heavily censored, to get around the censorship. He says he used a VPN because it wasn't banned. He probably should have added for him. We know Russia's blocked its citizens from accessing Western news outlets and social media over its response to Ukraine invasion. Russia's also been blocking VPN services in the country. But Vladimir Putin spokesman says he used a VPN. Of course he does. He didn't say which VPN. He says it's not banned, but yet Russia has blocked VPNs. And of course, Russia's blocked access to outlets like BBC, Bloomberg, CNN, as well as social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, etc. And they cracked down. So it's kind of funny, two different rules. That's what happens when you live in a communist country. Getting people back to the office is being a bit of a challenge, but Google is offering employees free electric scooters to get them back to the office. So that's an interesting move. And Tech Giants team up e-scooter maker Untitled to launch a program called Ride Scoot, in which most of Google's U.S.-based workers can get reimbursed for the full cost of a monthly subscription to Unagi's stylish Model 1 scooter. The Model 1, which retails for $990, a lightweight dual-motor scooter with a top speed of 20 miles per hour and a range of 15 miles. They want to help people get to work or even the closest bus stop. So that's what my son's going to be doing. He's going to be walking to the bus stop. Yep. So anyway, what say you? What's your employer bribing you to get back to the office with? Alphabet Wing will begin drone deliveries in Dallas-Fort Worth on April 7th. It's the company's first foray into a major U.S. metropolitan area, and it's launching this drone delivery service. With this service, the DFW area will be the largest metro in the world and the first in the United States with access to on-demand drone delivery, the company said in an emailed statement. Wing's primary launch customer is Walgreens, which will deliver health and wellness products directly to customers' home. For that, it will use a new operational model where drones are staged at one of its own store parking lots. Rather than a Wing facility, it will be delivering ice cream, full of bluebell creamies, easy vet prescriptions, medication, and first aid kits from Texas Health. So, we'll see. It can carry packages no heavier than 3.3 pounds on round trips up to 10 kilometers. 6 miles. The drones are autonomous, but are monitored by pilots and can take control if something goes sideways. And we know Wing has been doing drone deliveries in Australia since early 2019. So, I'd like to see some of these deliveries, how they go down. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. I'm behind in email by about 500 emails, so if you send a comment to the show, I apologize. It has been missed. It's my pleasure to bring you the show tonight. I want to thank you so very much for being here. I want you to also definitely consider supporting a sponsor. GoDaddy at geeknesscentral.com/GoDaddy. Also becoming an insider at geeknesscentral.com/insider on a $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 a month contribution. Whereas you could also do a one-time donation. I love those as well because it's less finance fees with PayPal because they've raised those recently. But definitely want to thank you for those donations. It's been my pleasure to bring the show to you today. Again, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. We'll see you back here a week from today. Again, the reason being my daughter's coming into town, and I get to see my grandbaby. So that is taking priority over doing the show, and I think you'll understand why. So we'll see you next time, everyone. Take care. Stay safe out there. Take care of one another. Watch out. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.